A guy I know, Leonard Burke, Len. He's 90 years old and a New Yorker. It's the height of the coronavirus, and save your condolences, he doesn't die, God forbid. He gets laid off. Still, for him, very sad, because at 90, he still wanted to work a lot. But Len got laid off from his job as a lox slicer if you've been to New York a few times or pay attention to movies, you'll recognize the name, at Zabar's. Zabar's is a specialty food store. You can call it a deli. They call it an appetizer store. It's on 80th and Broadway in Manhattan. 26 years ago, when he was 64, 65, Len sold his accounting practice, and he did very, very well by it. Believe me, a smart guy, well-educated. Looking for something to do, he got hired as a part-time slicer at Zabar's. Now, let me tell you something. A slicer is not a job you give to an old fart out of sympathy, like sweeping the floors or sitting on your tuchus on a folding chair to watch for illegal parkers. A slicer does his artwork, yes, artwork, in front of a long waiting line of not-so-patient people who know their locks. And that's where I met him for the first time, in a line. My wife, my late wife, and I stopped in New York for our break in the long trip to visit our son and his family in Brussels. When you visit New York, you have lox and bagels. If you visit the Shrine of Lords, do you pass up the water? Anyway, the slicer is like a plastic surgeon, except doing his work in front of a live audience that's more than willing to give him advice. Hey, doctor, surgeon, you call that a tummy tuck? Take a little more fat off right over there. And at 90, Len still drove to work, a little over 15 miles one way. One way, never mind work. What 90-year-old drives 15 miles, period? You're 90, tear up your license. And anyway, you got to be crazy to drive in New York anyway. Well, he did, and he loved the drive. Seeing the Hudson never got boring. So that's Len. More than a quarter of a century. It sounds even longer when you say it that way. And what? Suddenly, he's a non-essential worker. Now, let me tell you a quick story. That time with me in the line, maybe 5-6 years ago, when it was my turn, by then the line was short, and I am known to be a wise ass, I said to him, "Hey, Alta Cocker, old man, an old guy like you still working?" "I look a hell of a lot better than you do," he says. I'm 65, and he's laughing. "Besides," Len says, "I'm a year younger than Saul Zabar himself." We introduced ourselves. I'm Marv, he's Len. One friendly insult led to another, and after that, whenever Judy and I were in New York on the way to Belgium, I would stop in. Len and I would have coffee together, maybe a meal. Once the corona thing started, I thought I should give him a call. With the virus, for sure you call people you know in New York and hope to God they'll answer. He answered. I relaxed my tight grip on the phone. And that's when he told me this story. I was 3/4 through a slice, Len told me, when my supervisor came up to me and said, "I don't think I want you here next Thursday. We'll talk later." My stomach, Len said, just sank. His boss told him that with the virus and over 200 employees in the store, it was not a matter of if, but of when. And if Len was one of those whens, the supervisor told him, it would break that boss's heart. "What about Sal Zabar?" Len said. "He's a year older than me." I told the same thing to Sal, but I can't tell him to not come to the store. It's his store. That was that. It tore Len up having to leave. Even over the phone, not Skype, regular, I could tell he was choking up. You could hear the tears, if you know what I mean. Still, he wanted to talk. I felt flattered. When I entered the store, Len said, a feeling of contentment would come over me as if it were my second home, ready to, engage with my friends behind the counter and the customers in front of it. I could go on and on, he said. So go on and on, I said. I think you get the idea. It wasn't just work. It was a way of life, and I needed that. I didn't know what to say. For me to have nothing to say? So I tossed out a cliche. At least you got your health. Like, they stole your car, but at least you still got the owner's manual. Yeah, Len said, I know. At least I don't have what my friends have, like emphysema, congestive heart failure, occipital neuralgia, or subclavian stenosis. The hell are those last two, I asked. You don't want to know. Anyway, I'm in relatively good health, and that's what counts. Len was okay, but him, such a gutsy guy and so exceptional, was now stuck in place. Stuck forever. His kids, including his son, a doctor, pretty much forbade him from ever going back to slicing. No way was I returning to work, so I made the decision, Len said. I would not go back whatever Zabar's position was. I had given myself permission to live. Which didn't sound like the old Len. Hell, it wasn't the old Len. But I understood. To tell you the truth, by now I was getting choked up myself. So I said to Len, for now, let's just say goodbye. We'll keep in touch, Len. Really, keep in touch. Sure, he said. Sure. Well, that was 2 weeks ago, and I've been thinking about Len a lot. His life was turned upside down in an age when it's not likely to ever again turn right side up, even if he survives the virus. Then he will be a survivor, sure, but just another 90-year-old survivor. A hell of a lot better than nothing, but sure not better than slicing. I've also been thinking a lot about how lucky Len is. Yeah, lucky. He's scared and unsure, but he's not alone like I am. Tough as it is for him, Len knows where he has ended up. Sad, yeah, but comforting. He has a family right there. As for giving up Zabar's, the family may have been browbeaters, probably pissed Len off royally. But it was a loving browbeating, soft and comforting. You know, the bosom of the family. You know what? As soon as this is over, I'm going to fly to New York and see Len. First day, we'll grab breakfast together, then we'll head on over to Zabar's. It will be his first time back. The workers cheer when they see him walk through the door. Len, Len! He tosses a couple of words to them in Spanish. And then he sees Saul Zabar. They hug one another like two people have never hugged before. Son of a bitch! We both made it back. Son of a bitch! Len's old supervisor comes around and shakes Len's hand. Actually shakes his hand. You want your job back? The supervisor says. Nah, says Len, I got me a new job. I am now a personal trainer. But, Len says, you see this friend I came in with? Marvin, retired. But he's a spring chicken. He's only 72 years old. He's the perfect age for a new slicer.